Okay, guys. Today I'm gonna be talking about heroin and fentanyl, and just to give you guys an idea of, there's actually agents that are part of a task force to actually assist local law enforcement, whether it be for either any kind of forensics, any kind of logistics, any kind of support that the federal government can offer. Them agents are available and they are there, and they are involved in a lot of takedown and arrest of actual heroin and fentanyl operations. So it's going to be a group effort with law enforcement, and they're giving anywhere from 10 to actually 20 years, and some occasions to life, it depending on if your actual customer actually ODs on you. That's going to fall back on you. I remember about a year in 2020, at the beginning of 2020, a local street dealer, he got 20 years because one of his actual clients passed away off of heroin that he supplied, and he got tried by a federal jury, and he got 20 years for that. Uh, there's another case where a New Jersey supplier of fentanyl, again, there was a fatality. He got 20 years also. So the feds are involved, and they're actually conducting these actual investigations with more detail, with more resources. And I'll get into a story here shortly, but this actual there was actually a verdict this month on a 42-year-old Cambodian national living in the United States illegally, and he was a local drug dealer, and apparently he purchased some cocaine on Labor Day weekend in 2018, and they actually pinpointed that this actual laced cocaine killed three individuals on this particular weekend. So apparently he got a supply from his connection, his connect, and as he got it, he actually tested it out. He took a bump. After that bump, he said he felt dizzy, woozy, and nearly lost his balance. But despite how he felt and how he made him feel, he still actually sold it as coke. He actually sold three individuals a half a gram, and apparently a couple hours later they summoned him to the actual where he had dropped off that half a gram to actually provide some answers, because the fact that when he got there, there was one individual that was non-responsive, and there was another individual that needed it actually to be injected with, that was a narcon, and so Narcan, yeah. So he actually was able to to revive him. The other gentleman, he was not responsive, so he had passed away from fentanyl poisoning. And the other third gentleman, he went to the hospital the next day for complications of that same, that same coke. And before the actual cops got to the actual place where he dropped off the drug dealer went to his actual house or his apartment. He got rid of all that coke laced fentanyl, but the cops still caught up to him. They found paraphernalia, and they pointed that its actual individual overdosed from his actual supply of coke that was laced, right? And in a twist, his actual connection, the one that supplied this actual laced coke, he was one of the three people that died in the city that day in San Diego, that weekend, I should say, and he was actually one of the victims that passed away. So he didn't even know that it was poly laced, and apparently they're doing that to get people hooked. But I don't understand that drug. I really don't. And to be putting it in methamphetamine and putting it in coke, just for the fact that your actual customers will get hooked. I mean, they're already hooked as it is. I don't see why you would even try to put this actual poison on your actual on your your reoccurring customers, paying customers. So he got 15 years. He got 15 years for this, and after he actually gets done with his actual federal 15 years, he will be deported back to Cambodia. And this other one is of a 29-year-old male in New Orleans who pled guilty to one count of superseding bill of info, charging him with the conspiracy of heroin. So we got a heroin conspiracy and distribution. So the investigation started back in August 2017, and he was snitched on for distributing actual heroin in a couple of the parishes in New Orleans. And when he got taken down, he was actually arrested with a couple of cell phones. The actual FBI took this request to court, and they subpoenaed the actual cell phones, and they got a search warrant, and they retrieved some text messages back to 2015. And he actually incriminated himself for dealing, heroin through his text messages. I guess he kept the same phone. So now, this is 2017 when he's got arrested, and they go back all the way 2 years prior. So what the FBI did, again, they got called in for help from the local PD, and they interviewed the contacts that were on that phone. So the drug dealer's contacts were actually visited by the FBI, and they learned that in June 2015, he provided heroin to a customer who overdosed, and they even pinpointed to an actual park. And they pieced it all together with the actual help of somebody in this contacts of clients, and they nailed it down. They actually zeroed in on a particular OD that the coroner gave the report of actually having been on overdose on heroin, and he supplied that actual individual with $100 that day of heroin. So this actual individual, he got, they did the actual forensic on phones, and they gave him 6.5 years of prison, and he probably would have got less time if he would have just switched phones up, or but apparently they retrieved text messages from 2 years before on one of his phones. So there it is, guys. So just just want to give you guys a little bit different insight, and the FBI is involved. They are prosecuting on a federal level, even to street level actual heroin suppliers, and they're going to give you a lot of time. They're going to give you a lot of time, and hopefully it's for the good, because the fact that it's poison and not everybody is educated enough to cut this poison into the actual substances, and that's where the big mistakes happening, and not everybody's that bright out there, Okay, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.